What's up everyone, I'm the Kaiji no Kami from the Toku and Animation News Network, and this is my quickie review for Resident Evil Requiem, or Resident Evil 9. Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. Resident Evil Requiem is obviously the latest game in the Resident Evil franchise. It's the 9th main installment, and I have had a blast with it. I have not enjoyed a Resident Evil game this much since 5, or rather I should say I have not enjoyed a non-remake Resident Evil this much since 5, and I like this way more than 5. The biggest reasons I really enjoyed 5 is just I was playing with a friend in the early days of us living in Colorado, and we had a blast just playing Resident Evil 5 over and over and over, and I loved getting the infinite ammo and going through that and making short work of everyone. I enjoyed the game a lot despite its flaws. 6, we don't talk about 6. 7 I've only played once, surprisingly, but I really did enjoy it. 8 I've only played once as well, but I did enjoy that. But Resident Evil Requiem is incredible. The story features 2 different characters. We've got a new character named Grace Ashcroft, who's the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft from the Resident Evil Outbreak series. Grace gets captured by a mad doctor and has to go through a care center trying not to get killed, having to avoid zombies, avoid this creature thing that's just nicknamed the Girl, who occasionally will show up, and you have to do like this whole stealth sequence of trying to get around the girl without being caught. Sometimes have to flip on lights or open up the ceiling to get her to go away because she's scarred by sunlight. Those sequences the first time through was pretty frustrating. Once you start to realize how the girl works, it makes things a little bit easier. She's kind of blind, but not quite. Like if you end up just walking in front of her, she's going to know you're there. If you are at a distance, just staying ducked below, hiding, she most likely won't see you. She might sniff you, but she probably won't see you unless you make a noise. And then we have this other big blobby thing that's named as Chunk. The first time I was like, what the hell? And fortunately I was able to get another zombie to kill him. Grace has to go through this care center with basically the bare minimum. She does get Leon's gun, but I didn't realize that I actually got ammo for the gun in my first playthrough. There was like this weird ammo she was getting. I thought it was for a gun she hadn't gotten yet. I didn't realize it was actually for the Magnum called the Requiem that Leon gave her. So I was like, oh, you mean I could have been using that the whole time? Now, granted, ammo is extremely limited, but it would have helped. You do have these injectors that you can use on enemies. When you stab an enemy with it, they do insta-death and explode. It also helps it so they don't come back to life, because we have a new version of the Crimson Head here called Blister Head, which can be a pain in the ass, especially if you're low on ammo or you don't have the right gun to check them out. Leon is obviously the more experienced, so he comes very equipped with everything. He can handle himself. He has a nice axe that you can use to attack enemies with and to reflect enemies' attacks. There is a lot to like in this game. Some areas did make me think of The Last of Us. Like there's an area where you're in like this terminal place with trucks and the whole area is flooded and you have to go through flooded water to kill zombies. I was like, God damn, this is just like The Last of Us. There's a monster that's kind of like the bloater. I'm like, oh my God, seriously, this is The Last of Us and I love it. I always felt The Last of Us was how Resident Evil should have evolved instead of what they did with 6. They finally figured it out and they're doing it right. I loved it a lot. There were a lot of really well done stealth sections. As a person who loves stealth, I enjoyed it. I know there are people out there that don't like stealth. And then with Leon, it's kind of fun because then with Leon, you're just like pow, 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 pow. Yeah! Pow, 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 pow. And it's pretty cool. Some nice surprises and some good boss battles going on in there. It's interesting when the game finally really utilizes how the lickers should work and getting to work around them. I like that a lot. There were a lot of creepy moments, a lot of places that play with dark and light, just like Resident Evil 2's remake did. And then, this is not a spoiler because it's on the cover of the game, but you get to go back to the remains of the RPD. If you've ever watched Dr. Sleep, when Denny Torrance is going through the Overlook after returning there, turning all the lights back on, and you just see how the Overlook has decayed over the years, that's how this felt to me. I really, really loved it. The game answers a bunch of questions about everything that's been going on in this entire franchise and leaves it open for some new things to occur, and I really felt the game was the better for it. I will say there's technically 2 endings, but one of them is kind of a false ending that feels more like an extended game over screen than an actual ending. So you really do just need to do the good ending, as it were. But overall, I loved Resident Evil Requiem. The upgrade system was kind of weird. You don't gain access to it on your first playthrough until about halfway through the game, and you buy these points. There's also points you obtain for the game itself that allows you to buy things like infinite ammo, which became my main focus. So I ended up going through the game a second time, doing no runs of using no health items, not using this blood collector thing you acquire, just to get enough points to buy infinite ammo so I can have a blast going through the game again and just killing everything. Because that for me is the payment of going through the game the first time. Getting the infinite ammo and then getting to dominate everything in your path. I love it. There are a lot of good details. The zombies are kind of interesting because they still retain some of their memories. So you have a zombie that will be like, turn off the lights, and he'll go and hit the light switch. And if he's blocking an area you need to go in, you can go to another area, flip the light switch on and hide, and the zombie will then go into that area and be like, turn off the lights, turn off the lights. There's also one where the zombie is like killing his secretary, and then after he's done eating her, he lifts up and says, "You're fired." It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself immensely.
Here. Liquor.
There are a couple of nitpicks. I do think the switching back and forth between Grace and Leon is a bit off-putting initially due to their different playstyles. The game also lacks the really thought-provoking puzzles, which is something Resident Evil has been reducing over the years in general. I get it for Leon, but they could have really let the creative juices flow for Grace rather than resorting to something you wouldn't even know was an optional puzzle. If you are a fan of the Resident Evil franchise, this is definitely one to check out. I had a blast. Like I said, I haven't had this much fun since Resident Evil 5 as far as main games are concerned. With remakes, I've enjoyed all the remakes up to this point. Not everyone has for some strange reason, but that's on them, not me. I am going to give Resident Evil Requiem a solid 9 out of 10 stars. Have you played Resident Evil Requiem? If not, what is your favorite Resident Evil game? If you have, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you click on to support me. You can support me on Patreon and Bluesky at tokuaannetwork, Facebook, Instagram, Discord at Kaiju no Kami, my website creativitybydesign.llc.com. There's also a link in the description below for a GoFundMe for health purposes. And until next time, bye.